All right. Hello, everybody. So today I wanted to talk about the objective point of view, what this means, and how it can benefit you and really unlocking your true self and not getting so caught up in a lot of the stuff that people do get caught up in this world. So first off, I want to explain a lot of the suffering that people go through and a lot of the hardships, when you're having a hard time with something, usually that's a byproduct of you being fixed. You being not willing to bend, not being malleable because you have a specific set of beliefs that are leading you to believe that where you are and the thing that you are confronting, there is conflict between those things. The only way that there can be conflict between those things is if you have a fixed point of view and then you confront something that you feel is also fixed. Now, the thing to realize here is that you are not a fixed point of view. As humans, we adopt fixed points of view, and this is called subjectivity. This is when you have a specific viewpoint, you're saying, I am this, and based on the assumption that I am this is how I see things. And that's the way that it is. That's it. Now that's very limiting. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have a subjective point of view, but understand that it's only true because you've decided that it is. It's only a belief because you've made it a belief, and perhaps you've had experiences that have brought that belief about and kind of strengthened it, made you believe it more, made it get deeper ingrained in your system. Now, there's a difference between this and having preferences. Because you can definitely go about and say, okay, well, I prefer this over this. I would like this over this. The point is to not get overly attached to one particular point of view. Because if you have a singular point of view and you can only see it in that way, you're limited to only seeing it that way. And that means everything that might conflict with that is going to conflict with that. Everything that might go with that is going to go with that, but only as much as goes with it. All right? So this is where objectivity comes in, and objectivity is viewing something without being attached to it. Being able to look at something without a bias, basically. Seeing something without any point of view, without any filter, without any sense of this is my belief, this is that. You are just the observer. You are the pure observer in this sense. All right? So objectivity is very powerful because you can take on multiple points of view at different times in order to widen your lens, in a sense. You're no longer looking at something saying well, I am this for sure, and I see this way absolutely, and that's the way that it is. Now think about, there's a metaphor that just came to my mind. Think about a tree. If a tree was not willing to bend in the wind, the branch would break. All right? So we get broken and hurt when we are so rigid in our beliefs, in our point of view, and whatever it is, and we're not willing to see it from another perspective, we're not willing to look at it from another perspective. These things can hit us very hard because we are hard. Now, the point of objectivity is to be more fluid, to be able to move with it and understand that you are not a singular point of view. As humans, we adopt points of view. And it's okay, like I said, to have preferences. It's okay to view things, but always look from a point of view of you are the observer. You are the observer. And from the point of the observer, you can have many subjective points of view. So if I'm the observer and I'm just viewing, okay, well, this thing is this way and this makes me feel this way about it. Then if you all of a sudden were to say, well, let me look at this from another point of view. Let me look at this from a different angle of focus. Not that you're necessarily accepting that angle of focus, but when you're able to look at it from this other point of view, then you'll see other things about it. You're literally literally if you had a camera and you had it focused on this one point of view, and then you were and you'd only see what you'd see from that given point of view, you draw certain conclusions from it being that specific way. So if you all of a sudden had this angle and you saw what you saw from this angle, and then you came and took this angle too, well, now you're going to have two different points of focus that are going to give you different information about the same subject. So understand subjectivity, objectivity, because you're observing. Both of these are subjective points of view, but when you're looking from an objective point, you can have multiple subjective points of view. All right, so that's where this becomes very limitless. So as from that image, you can draw the conclusion that subjectivity is a singular point of view. It's a singular focus. From one point of view, one angle, you're only going to see what you're going to see from that point of view, and that's the way that it is. If you take a different subjective angle, you're going to see something different. If you take a different subjective angle, you're going to see something different. And you can do this endlessly. You can do this in all sorts of different creative ways. And what you end up doing is opening up your lens of perception, all right? A lot of judgment that humans hold and people have for each other comes from subjectivity, because they think, well, I'm this, and the way this person's doing this conflicts with me because I'm this. You might have a belief that you're that, and perhaps that's true, perhaps it's not. Truth is relative. If you all of a sudden were to say, well, let me see if I could see it from their point of view. Maybe they're going through this. Maybe this is happening. Maybe there's this. What you're doing is you're opening up a lens so you don't get trapped in duality, in judgment, in a linear focus. All right? So objectivity can really free you from a lot of these social constructs, a lot of these bounds, a lot of these judgments that keep you where you are. Now, if you ever find yourself like stuck somewhere in your life, or you're just not sure what's going on, you're not sure what to do next, you feel like things are against you, things are moving against you, try changing your point of view. It's when we get so stubborn in thinking that we're right about something, which there really is no right and wrong, it's all how you choose to see it. If you understand that, you can change it. You do not have to look at something from a singular point of view and it has to be that way, based on what someone else told you or what you learned, or even if it's just something you ended up believing for yourself. Now, like I said, it's not about accepting another point of view. You can accept other points of view, and in fact, I think it can be advantageous to do so. But it's more so about being able to play with those other points of view, and in doing so, you open up all of these different angles of perception. See, you're none of the points of view, really. From the objective stance, you are the observer. So even the point of view that you're really attached to, that's not you either. That's not you. It never was. That's just the one you got comfortable with. That's just the one that you got attached to. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's serving you, fine. So be it. Roll with it. There's nothing wrong with a subjective point of view. It's understanding that if that subjective point of view is no longer serving you and you find it's inhibiting you and it's making you stuck and it's making you feel like you don't know what to do, you feel closed off, you feel disconnected, try a different angle. Approach it from a different angle. Look from a different point of view and know that you're not being washy in doing that. Know that when you look from different points of view, what you end up doing are seeing different angles of yourself. Because this external reality that we focus on is just a mirror of our internal state. And the more that you can challenge yourself to say, let me see if I can find a couple of different ways that I can look at this, and let me see if I can see it from someone else's point of view, or another angle of approach, or maybe if I was in a different scenario, how would this look? If I perceive things like this, how would it look? So and so. So I know these are a lot of vague examples, but that's the point. That is the point. When we get so fixed, we become rigid. When we're able to look from all of these different angles, we can flow with reality. So, as I said in the beginning of this, you have so much more ease of motion, and you can move through reality with so much more grace when you're willing to not be so rigid. You're willing to not be so fixed. You can truly just flow and be fluid with it, understanding that you are none of the points of view. You are none of them. You are the objective. You are the observer. You are the one who is aware of the points of view, but you are not the point of view. That is why you can take on many different points of view. So the power is within you to do what you want with it. You are the light that is shining on your reality, and as you shine your light on the reality, you can choose what angle, you can choose what color the filter is, you can choose how much you want to zoom the lens, you can choose whatever it is. And I mean, you can get really creative with this. You can start seeing yourself in all sorts of different lights, all sorts of different, maybe archetypes even, which I think I'll make another video on at some point. It's all about looking from where you have not seen it before. Because from there you get a whole new way to look at things, and what you end up doing is changing the situation. You change the situation because now you're viewing it as something completely different. There's another interesting metaphor that's coming to mind, and some of you might have heard this before. I don't know who wrote it, but it's about, there were several blind children and they were all touching an elephant on a different part of the elephant, and they were saying, one of them was grabbing its tail and said, well, the elephant is like a rope. One of them was touching its stomach, and it was like, the elephant is like a wall. The other one was touching its leg and was like, the elephant is like a tree. They're all correct. They are all correct, but none of them are getting the full picture of what the elephant is, all right? So with that, know that you might only be seeing a small part of what's actually happening. And in fact, you probably are only seeing a small part of what's actually happening. So be willing to kind of let the ego go and say, all right, what am I not seeing here? What is beyond my perception at this time, and how can I alter my focus in order to see this from another point of view in order to more gracefully navigate this scenario and move through this situation? All right, guys? So I want to thank you all for joining here today. Like, comment, subscribe. And have a wonderful day. Peace.